All right, so
Hey
look
guys.
who I'm here with. Hicks Fab Garage. That's right. I was out of town. I was about 20 minutes from him. I bought a whole bunch of parts from him. You guys saw that in the last video. This is his Datsun. He's been making videos on this thing. Incredibly instructional and really, really helpful for those of you doing restoration work. He's done a ton of welding on this thing. I remember I had a subscriber ask me if I could give him any tips for smoothing out a firewall. Well, Ryan has done a ton of work welding, repairing, smoothing out inner fenders and the firewall of his Datsun. So if you're looking for tips on that, check out Ryan's channel. But I wanted to show you guys something real quick. Last time I was here, I bought an engine, transmission, radiator, fans, struts, all kinds of stuff. Well, I happened to stop by Ryan's place, and in the mighty Equinox here, I now have, this is gonna be hard. I only have one camera on this phone, so you gotta deal with it. But I have two much nicer front fenders than I had on my Datsun, as well as one much nicer hood. And this guy is super nice. I tried to be. Gives me this shit for like nothing, and it's good quality parts. So this is now the second time I've been here. It's ridiculous. He lives 9 hours away from me, right?
Not that bad.
Yeah, it's not too bad, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, just a quick little video. I wanted to show you guys where I was at again. Ryan Hicks' house, Hicks Fab Garage.
Yeah, I appreciate it. We're a small organization. I mean, there's lots of us out there. Small community. We all have to work together to make all these cars back on the road.
Right, exactly. So check out his channel. I'll link it up here somewhere, wherever the last one was. Look for it. Check out his videos. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll pick up when I've got something else to show you. Viewers, it's about time you showed up. Anyway, so welcome back. Datsun might look a little bit different to you. That's minor though. As the previous clip stated, I was in Ohio for work, and I happened to stop by Ryan Hicks' place from Hicks' Fab Garage. Check out his channel here, wherever that thing's gonna be. While I was in town, I picked up a couple of things. So these over here are two much nicer front fenders than the ones I was going to fix. You guys remember these are all rusted out on the bottom here. And I got a hood. That's right, this hood came off of Ryan's car. He wasn't gonna use it, he has a different one. And underneath, this is the exact same color as the Datsun's original. So I plan on wet sanding this to get most of this black spray paint off of there. And then that hood will match the rest of the car, or if not perfectly, very close. Goal for today, I just wanna try to tie up as many loose ends as I can. I got a little bit of that work to do on the firewall, kind of finish up that little patchwork, do some welding and grinding, and get that stuff ready for paint. First thing is the trans tunnel. That way I can paint it and put that back together. So without further ado, we'll get to that stuff. All right, so you guys have seen this before. I have a little patch panel to make here, and I have some finish welding to do along this seam. So my idea for most of this stuff here is I'm just gonna take my cutoff wheel and go right along this panel to try to basically just match these two panels by making a tiny little slit. And then this one over here, I'll just make a quick patch out of paper and shove that guy in there. So that's what I'm gonna do for this, get this whole thing buttoned up. That way I can get this thing primed, painted, seam sealed, and undercoated. We'll be done. All right, so apparently I never pushed record on time lapse. Anyway, under here, let's see, made a patch panel for this right here. Believe it or not, it was actually the piece that I cut off right here to trim this, fit right here perfectly. So, yep, I'm gonna leave this hole right here for wires and other things that need to get to the engine bay, as well as this one. Anything else I might cut off and shave and clean this up a little. This is all welded up under here and all the way down in there. So this whole transmission tunnel is now welded up. On the underside here, I'm going to spray some primer on it, and then inside here, I think what I'll do is do the little trick with the Rust-Oleum and a little bit of activator, the stuff from Tractor Supply, and I'm just going to brush this on here. So what I'm using for the transmission tunnel is just your standard Rust-Oleum oil-based enamel. This stuff has been used a few times. So this is just a little disposable cup. And we'll say for about that much paint, which I can't tell you exactly how much this is. There's probably a right way and a wrong way to do this, but I don't know what that is. Anyway, what I've heard is about a cap full of the activator here, catalyst, hardener, sorry. About a cap full of this into roughly 8 ounces of the Rust-Oleum oil-based enamel. And that'll help this stuff kind of harden up a little more like it'll help it harden up a little bit more like Pour 15, except for Rust-Oleum enamel is so much easier to work with and so much easier to store, and it's far less reactive with air. So this will keep longer and you can use more of it, but it hardens up pretty good. And I'm gonna brush it on to the transmission tunnel. I don't wanna spray paint anything inside the car, as it's already enough of a mess as you guys already see. Let's probably do the same thing under the car too, for as much of it as I can reach. Okay, first coat of Rust-Oleum is on here. Now I didn't go all the way back. Once I get a few other things done out here, I'm gonna put this car on the lift. Then I can shoot the whole underside. And I think maybe I will paint the engine bay. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see what happens with that. Do you guys remember the little repair that was done somewhere in here? Yeah, me neither. Exactly. Black paint basically disappears. I didn't even grind those welds, I don't care. So, got that painted. The inside here, this is all painted up, all the way up to the firewall. And it looks really glossy right now, but it is gonna dry like a matte finish. Not that it matters, because there's carpet going over that. So I think the next thing I'm gonna get after today is probably spreading fiberglass over the patch panels I made right here. I gotta try to smooth this out and take away a little bit of the lump here. So I'm gonna mix up a little bit of fiberglass and maybe spread that. All right, so mixing up a little bit of short strand fiberglass here. And of course, doing this the way that everybody says not to, on a piece of cardboard. This is just to kind of build up the surface and the low spots that I have and even it out. And I've seen a bunch of other YouTubers who are a lot better at this stuff than I am, and they all use short strand fiberglass over anywhere that they've welded. It seems like a really good and waterproof and strong seal, and it gives you a good base to spread a little bit of filler after that to get it nice and smooth. So I'm going to spread this. We'll see if we can't get this to look something close to a rocker panel. I'm not a body guy, that's why I'm mixing this on cardboard, because if I was a body guy, I would never do this, likely. So, looks like the fiberglass short strands mixed up okay. Let's give it a try here, see if we can't get it to spread out. As ugly as it is, we're going to leave it like that. And come back in a few minutes after that's dry, and we'll see what it's going to take to get that sanded smooth. I can already see that I'm going to need more right here and right through here. So we'll let this cure up, sand it off, and hit it again. All right, so you can see here, this is after 2 applications. So just very quickly sanded that with a sanding block, aka a piece of wood with sanding paper wrapped around it. So this actually looks pretty good to me so far. And again, this is just the first layer of fiberglass. So once the fiberglass is cured here, I'll come back and knock this down. This is the driver's side, and this actually looks pretty good over here. Now you can still see a little bit of a whoopty right here where I made that patch panel, but from a little ways away, looks okay to me. So I'm gonna let this second coat cure. I'll come back here and knock this down again with either a sanding block or the DA, and then we'll see if we need maybe a third little skim coat in a couple spots with fiberglass, and then we'll be looking at probably body filler. All right, second coat of fiberglass is on both sides, so I'm gonna knock this down with some 80 grit on my electric DA here and try to get this smoothed out. I think maybe I'll need one more coat over here to really get this blended. So yeah, sand it quick and see what we got. All right, so that's the second coat of fiberglass. This is on the passenger side. So you can see here, I have a low spot here, and I think this I probably just didn't hit with the DA too much. You can see there's another spot right here. That's right where the weld is, and right up there. I am gonna mix up just a little bit more fiberglass and do just a little more on each side. But I think that's pretty close. I will hit it. I'll then knock it back down with 80 grit on the DA. And then I think it's ready for some body filler so that I can get this feathered out, make it look a little bit better than this. Obviously, I'm gonna come in here and clean this up. So that's what I'm gonna do now. Spread some more on here and then wait for it to cure up, maybe get it sanded tonight, and then go get some body filler. And so here we are. This will be coat number 3. So this is coat number 3. You notice I am kind of bringing this out a lot further than it may need to go, but the idea behind that, I mean, I'm not a body guy, so maybe this is the wrong thing to do, but if the repair area is here, I'd like to stretch out where I'm evening it out all the way to here, so that maybe when you're shooting your eye down the rocker, or if you ever are, maybe that section that was welded sticks out a little bit less. So I think I'm gonna let this dry up. I'll show you the other side. I think the other side is actually, or driver's side is actually a little bit better. I wonder if the fiberglass is a little bit more set up so it makes it better to spread. But if you look at this here, you can still see a little whoopty back here where I made the patch panel, because this actually isn't made right. The dog leg is actually supposed to overlap the rocker, but I had a little bit of rust in the front of the dog leg, so I just cut and made my own piece. It is what it is. Anyway, did a little bit on top of the rocker here because there was a little bit of divots and stuff from when I was grinding welds. Otherwise, this side actually turned out pretty smooth. There is a little bit of excess material here. Don't worry, I'll knock that down. So once this is all set up, I will knock this down with an 80 grit and then come in here with a sanding block, get it as smooth as I can. Then it will be ready for some filler, actual body filler. And once that's done, I can real quick paint up or prime up the rest of this stuff here, and then I can go get the factory Datsun color here matched and then spray this stuff up patina style. And who knows, in the future maybe this thing will actually get a paint job, but for right now this car needs a lot of work to be to the point where you could paint it, and I'm really not a body guy, so it's This is all just something I've been doing because I really love this car, and I want the rainwater to stay out when I'm driving it, because I will drive this thing in the rain. Anyway, that's where I'm going to leave off for now. Once this stuff is dry, I'll knock it down and go get some body filler. We'll pick up when we have something else to report. All right, while I'm waiting for the fiberglass to dry over there, I figured I would take a crack at wet sanding this hood. So this hood I got from Hicks. I believe this color is the same as the Datsun. So I'm gonna try to wet sand as much of this black off of here as I can and leave this kind of in a rough kind of look, but we'll see how much of this black paint I can get off of here while I wait for the other stuff to dry.
Think about the time I almost lost you. I know, I was lost too. Had dreams and I lost a few. In flight we enjoyed this view. Floating on the same wing, there's some flight shit. Window seat, knock feet, you're my sidekick. Always wanna run, can't find no one to run with. All these young kids wanna party, screaming come with. But you won't take their advice, you make your own. Came here to live a life, make your own. I'm just being honest, don't need those clones.
All right, back out here today. I'm gonna sand on the rear part of the rocker panel on either side, see how much more filler / fiberglass work I have to do there. And then I will continue over here, wet sanding the hood.
In flight we enjoy the view. In flight we enjoy the view. In flight we enjoy the view. Dig deep to unmask the truth. I'm gone cause of feeling you. So tired of failing you. So tired of failing you. So tired of failing you.
All right, so this looks pretty smooth to me. Obviously you can't really tell how good or bad it is without primer on there. But I think this is probably where I'm gonna stop with the fiberglass over here. Again, this car is not getting a full paint job, so it's gonna have, you know, dings and bruises and wavy panels a little bit because I'm not good at this stuff. So here is the passenger side. Like I said, this is just sort of roughed in with glass. At least that's what I'm gonna say, that it's roughed in with glass. I think it looks okay to me. So I think that's where I'm gonna stop. I think from here, what I'm gonna do is get back onto wet sanding this hood. That's right, the last time you guys saw this, there's just a little corner here. I've been working on this slowly and painfully, but it is coming off. So I'm gonna put you guys back on time lapse, hit a little bit more of this, and then we'll pick up once I go get some filler and some other stuff. Maybe I'll even run to the parts store and get this paint color matched. So, I don't know about you guys, but I think that hood looks pretty darn close. I believe it is actually the same color. And it's far less rusty than the original hood that I have. So, I probably will do some more wet sanding to get the rest of that black off of there. But for now, the majority of the black is off of that hood. And if this wasn't quite so dirty, right? I believe this is actually the same color. If not, it's a heck of a lot closer than that hood up there. Otherwise, like a glove. So that's where I'm at right there. I think maybe tomorrow or the day after, I think Steve 2.0 is going to be here And maybe if we feel like it, we may clean out this engine bay and fog it black as well. Because I mean, with that kind of paint job on the hood, that's what I'm talking about. So we'll pick up tomorrow or the day after. All right, back out here again today. You guys can see I have made tons of progress on the Datsun hood. So I think this is as far as I'm going to take it as far as wet sanding. This is actually primer showing through. There's a little bit of the black here. There's a little dent there, so I'm going to leave that. Otherwise, I think that's as far as I'm going to take this hood. It looks pretty good to me. It's got a little bit of rust here and there, but overall it's a lot cleaner than my old hood. Moving on, let's see. I have some body filler, so I'm actually going to attempt to get this all filled in here and smoothed out today. And while I'm waiting for that stuff to dry, I am going to do a quick and dirty engine paint spray bomb. Let's see. Oh, I'm using U-Pole body filler because Pole Barn Garage told me to. Usually stuff like this that I don't have any confidence in, I'll listen to someone else who sounds way more confident than me. This is U-Pole body filler. You can get this from O'Reilly's. I think it's 37 bucks. I'm gonna mix some of that up, throw it on either side of the car over there, wait for it to cure up. While I'm waiting for that, I'm gonna start prepping the engine bay. So get your filler scooper tool here, if that's what you want to call it. I don't care what you call it. We're gonna dab some of this onto the mixing board and get this over to the car. Man, there's a ton on there, huh? That's too much. Because I never think it's enough. So this stuff is way smoother though. Holy cow. That's significantly better than Bondo I've used. All right, I think I'm gonna attempt to do a very quick and dirty spray bomb job of the engine bay. I am actually gonna include the top of the core support. None of these stickers are worth a darn anymore. None of them have any info left on them. So I'm gonna move as much of the wiring as I can out of the way and probably just pile it all in the center, and then I can get to the outside here and scuff all this up with maybe a Scotch-Brite, and then come in here and fog it with some DE 1635. All right, I'm gonna give it a try. Trying to sand down this U-Pole stuff. See how it turns out. Oh wow, that stuff sands good. Hell yeah, that's awesome. All right, so that was that's 320 on there, and man, does that knock that stuff down really good. This U-Pole stuff is much better than Bondo. Okay, I'm gonna grab a little block. I'm gonna come back here and hand block this, and I think for my purposes, this is gonna be more than good enough. All right, so shot some primer on here after I blocked this down. But for the most part, and I know primer hides a lot, I do have to come back through here. There are a couple little spots. I don't know how well you guys are gonna be able to see. There's a little pinhole right there. So it may need, you know, some filler, some high build primer, whatever. But as far as I'm concerned, I think that is gonna work for the quarter panel repair. I mean, rocker panel, wow. I think that's gonna work good for me. So yeah, okay, I think I'll get back on the engine bay. I mean, man, I am gonna do a really good job on this. I will tell you what. No, I'm not going to. Let me just dispel some questions ahead of time. Number one, I'm not gonna remove the master cylinder or the clutch master, and I'm gonna paint right over this distribution block. I'm gonna redo all these lines, so none of this matters to me. The wiring harness, for the most part, is held up and out of the way. I got the cowl panel off. I'm gonna tape off just along the windshield trim there so that I don't get any black paint kind of up here around the window. But everything else, including under that cowl piece, I am gonna shoot that with black paint. I will tape off the model sticker over here, or the build, whatever that thing is called. I'm gonna blow this off one more time, suck up a whole bunch of shit with the vacuum, and then tape this off and get ready to paint it. Would you believe that these little bitty screws right here that came out holding this identification tag to the shock tower, they actually came out of the sheet metal. They don't even look that bad. Maybe a little trip through a vinegar wash or something like that. And then maybe I can wet sand this overspray off of this tag and put it back on. Before I get too excited about painting everything and masking it off and making everything pretty, cast your mind back to the very first episode where I took off these fender bolts, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts that are broken off of these welded on nuts. So I don't know, I'm gonna try with a vice grips to see if I can't break those free. If that doesn't work, then I will be coming in here with the cutoff tool, cutting all those nuts off and welding new ones on. Check that out. Made in USA vice grips. I got these at a rummage sale not far from my house for like $9. So, see if we get lucky here. Oh, that one's coming out. Aha! That's one. Well, don't celebrate too early. It's not all the way out. That's one. Okay, let's try 13. Hey, that actually worked. Yep, I mean that one ripped a little bit of the metal out with it, but that's not too bad. I think we can work with that. Ta-da! All the nuts on this side have been removed, so now I can clean this up, get some new nuts, weld them in there. I'll just look for the same nut that's this size. Zap those back in here really fast, then we can paint everything. So to hold these nuts in place, all I'm doing is I'm using, this is a leftover M6x1, I think it's a stud off of an LS, but all I'm doing is throwing the stud through and then threading the nut on from the backside and then using the stud to hold the nut right where I want it. That seems to work pretty good so far. All right, this next one right here had a little bit more blowout. I'm gonna weld a washer on the backside as well as the nut. All right, so I don't know if you guys can see that there's a little bit more blowout on that one. So I added a washer to kind of take up some of that space, and then I got the nut on there. So I'll weld the washer in place first, and then I will weld the nut to the washer. All right, there you go. That's a problem I've been waiting to fix for a long time. All right, I'm gonna get this thing blown off slash vacuumed a little bit more. Might try to clean it up just a tad bit, and then I'm gonna tape off the windshield and the upper part of the cowl here, and then we'll get to spraying. All right, so I feel like I should start by saying this. I am just gonna use this rust reformer as a quick base coat just to encapsulate most of the rust in the engine bay here, and then I'm going to follow it up with a top coat of that DE 1635. Another thing I think I should say is, this car is not nice. Remember, this is polishing a turd. If you want your engine bay to be nicer than this, spend some more time on it than I did. Blow it off a little bit better, clean it, degrease it, sand it, fill the holes and stuff. If you guys want tips on how to make a nice smooth firewall, go to Hicks's Fab Garage. He's doing that on his 4-door right now, and it looks incredible. So again, if you're looking for something nicer than this, spend more time on it. I'm not gonna do that with this car, because this is a little bit of fun and a lot of learning for me. Just thought I'd get that out of the way. All right, so this is the result. Don't mind this is hood release cable, and this is one of the many hard lines I have to fix. So this was really fast, scuff it, barely tape off the cowl, use a piece of cardboard to protect the windshield. I mean, if I have to, I can come and clean that. Look how dirty that is. This is kind of what I was going for. Quick and effective engine bay paint. Anyway, that is where I'm gonna end this video. I'm gonna put the hood back on and set the fenders back on there, just to kind of give everybody a little bit of an idea what it looks like now with the cleaner engine bay. All right, so here's a quick shot of what it looks like with the fenders and the cowl piece back on. I think it looks really good. It'll clean up the engine bay. And at least I've put a little bit of paint back on this thing. Here's the hood. Worked on this a whole bunch. Sanded off most of that black paint. There's still a little bit of it here and there. I tried to get as much of the scratches out as I could. Whoever had this before me, they dug in really, really hard with a DA sander. So if you look really close, maybe you can see those scratches, and you can probably see that you can see the scuff marks in it. So I am gonna sand this again with, I don't know, 1,000 grit, maybe 2,000 grit to make it really smooth. So I'm gonna put this on the car really fast just to get a picture, and we'll call it a day. Thank you all so much. Liking, commenting, subscribing. I'm super happy with that. This has been a ton of fun. So stick around. Ordering engine parts for this thing really soon. We're gonna do an engine teardown video, and we're gonna clean it all up and regasket it, put a rear main in it, and then we can put the whole drivetrain in the car. So thank you so much for watching. We will catch you in the next one.